Probably all of us, well, I'm going to say all of us, have been living our life in the tree of knowledge of good. And we're trying to perform good all our life. We're trying to perform fruit all our life, the best we know how. And we're trying to make this happen. Trying to make this happen. Is this right or wrong? Is this obey or disobey? Yes or all these things. And we're not taking into account, does it bring life? Is God in it? It's a tree of godly principles. Nothing wrong with godly principles if God tells you to do them. When we started our ministry years ago, God very clearly told me, do not start your ministry on godly principles. And I was wrestling with this because it sounded like the devil. It sounded like God, but it sounded like something the devil would say. And so I asked him what to explain. Like, what do you mean by this? And he said, I want you to start your ministry on me. Not against godly principles, but God is alive. If we start our ministry on God, He is alive and He is walking, He is doing things. And as He does things and tells us what's next, godly principles kick in and we do these principles. If we decide to walk through life on godly principles and trying to figure out if we're going to submit to God or not, the enemy is going to feed us a whole bunch of godly principles to manipulate us, to try to get us to do things His way. God told me the devil starts everything he does on godly principles. Because that's the only thing that works, because the devil is a counterfeiter and a manipulator. The devil is not original. And the devil was created by God to serve God, and the devil served God, I don't know how long, but I believe it's really long. The devil knows godly principles better than you do, and that's what he is manipulating. He's manipulating godly principles. And a godly principle manipulated into a wrong season or something that's not sanctioned by God is error. A godly principle out of touch or out of the right place is error. And that's why I believe that if these denominations and these churches that started their ministries on godly principles, they might have had a revelation from God. God moved on to deeper things, and they stayed right here with a box saying, this is the box that we're going to operate by, because it worked 500 years ago. But in 500 years, God moved on to new things, and the box stayed there with the godly principles that was part of the journey. If God is on a journey from here to there, there's snapshots of this journey. If we take a snapshot out of a movie and we make a religion out of it, we're going to miss the picture of the whole picture. So I believe that a lot of these groups were started on godly principles at the right time, but then God moved on and the system stayed stuck around methods. And now they're going round and round. God's moving on, and this group of people is stuck here, and the devil's running the show. And so I believe that Jesus came to show us that if we walk with the Father, in connection to the Father, then things are going to happen according to the connection to the Father and the life that comes out of that. If you think about Jesus' life, you think about the 3 years out of 33 years when things were happening, right? What happened in the first 30 years? Why didn't he start doing miracles when he was 18? Why Why didn't he decide, you know what, I am now 21, I can do what I want, I'm going to start healing people? It's because the Father had not revealed that it's time yet. And so as we take this journey with God, that's why it's important to take our next steps in faith, because the steps will lead to another step, will lead to walking with God. He's alive. Jesus is alive. Jesus died on the cross to take care of this debt, this death, legal agreement with death that Adam and Eve had made. Jesus took care of that. And then he rose from the dead alive, and he's moving and walking. We're in him, he's in us when we're born again, right? That's the belief system. And so if Jesus is moving somewhere, we're moving with him. And if the box there says you may not move with Jesus because that's outside of our godly principle over here, well, there's a new godly principle that says follow Jesus. If we focus on the life of Christ, the life is being where he is, where he goes, and what he's doing at the moment. But you know, we all have various different personalities, if you will. The secular calls it multiple personalities and all this stuff. But here's my theory on it. I believe that God has many different personalities. So we have God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit working together. All three of them have different personalities. And so we might have an argument, and one of us is focusing on what God would be saying, another one's focusing on what Jesus would be saying in the same situation. And if we stay with it, we might get a bigger picture with those two together. Or I say three: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Some of these discussions are healthy, because sometimes Jesus wants to give grace, and Father wants to hold a line, and the Holy Spirit wants to express. And so if we can work through this until we have a bigger picture and everybody agrees, yes, this is what God's doing, all at once, everybody goes to a whole new level and does a whole new thing with God.